Now, ladies and gentlemen, there was also an unknown individual that said men should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable. Hopefully our speaker this evening, our keynote speaker, is not disposable, and based on his CV, he certainly, and we do certainly look forward to hearing from him this evening. Our speaker this evening is the founder of the Gents, Let's Talk. Hopefully he's going to share a little bit about that with us. He is a mindset change coach. He's a media consultant by profession, and he's also a voiceover artist. And he's been a Toastmaster since 2015. I am, and I'm sure you are all, very keen to hear what his message entitled Gents, Let's Talk. Gents, Let's Talk is all about. Would you please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Tebogo Majokana.
Thank you very much to you guys. The first thing that I want to say to you is, if we go to the scripture, it says Corinthians 1, chapter 13. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. When I became a man, I put away childish things. The questions that I have for you today is 3 questions. What did you put away when you became a man? What happened to us men being protectors and providers? What caused the change? What happened to a generation of men that worked together, a generation of men that went out to lead, a generation of men that started things? If we look at the guy that started Toastmaster, Ralph C. Smedley, he went out, he saw a need, and he started something. Today, the organization is almost 100 years old. He left a legacy, something that is building a lot of us, something that has changed our lives as men and as human beings. We have men that used to stand together, men like Martin Luther King Jr. He was able to organize a group of men, 1 million men that stood for a cause. We had men like Mahatma Gandhi, the likes of Nelson Mandela. Those guys never worked in isolation. They worked in a group. The question that I have for you is, what happened to men that used to work in unity? Because all we can find today is a lot of men that are working in isolation. What happened to us men that used to take and lead and take the initiative? As men now, we are taking a backseat. We have left the stuff to be done by women. We are not working together as men. What happened to us as being protectors of families and communities that we are living about? Men will never let anyone come in their family. Men will never let anyone roam the street in their communities without asking questions to say, what are you doing? Who are you? Why are you here? If you look at today, you only care about your surroundings. Men are not working together in unity at this day and age. Men used to walk with pride and dignity. And we won the title that used to say, I am a man. How many of us today on this call can safely say, I'm proud to be called a man? What happened to these men that used to take the initiative, men that protected, and men that walked with pride and dignity? Today, we walk in isolation. You don't work with another man to build a society. You don't work with another man to build a community. Men used to get their hands dirty. Men used to go to the field to provide for their families. They used to go work hard every day. They used to go out and get the cheese and come back and provide for their families. What happened to that bunch of men? Where did things change? Did new money change us? Did the new economy change us? Are we changed because of the stresses that we are faced in the economy? How many men failed to understand and came out alive with a clear mind and a clear conscience during lockdown? We lost a lot. A lot is expected from us as men. Mr. Flint said it. The minute your bank balance decreases, your interest decreases. Nobody's got an interest in you as a man. What happened? What caused the stress? Are we changing because of the stresses of what is happening in our society? We have lost our spark as men. And I want to go back and say we have lost our spark as men. We have forgotten our purpose. We have forgotten our why. If we can ask today to say, what do you stand for as a man? Every day we change the script. Every day we flip the page because we have forgotten what we stand for as men. Do we stand for as men as unity? Do you still call yourself your brother's keeper? Andrew spoke about that to say he was significant. He was always second because he was always in the shadow of his brother. But one thing for sure, he was still his brother's keeper. Today, do we still know what we stand for as men? Do we know who we are, our identity, and we are from? Because I know a lot of us now, a lot of us and a lot of men on this call, identity to them is just their surname. If I can ask, you can easily say, yes, I'm a Flint. Yes, I'm a Andrews. Yes, I'm a Taylor. Yes, I'm a Votela. But at the end of the day, are you your identity? If we look, as men, our identity goes beyond our surnames. As men, our identity goes to the rules and regulations that you follow. Our identity as men also goes to say, what do you want to leave as your legacy? Our identity as men goes to say, if your father was a millionaire, are you going to follow suit and become a millionaire? Your identity becomes who you are. Your identity becomes who you were from where you're coming from, based on your surname. But at the end of your day, your identity is more than just your surname. Your identity is who you become. Your identity is the legacy that you're living at the end of the day. Your identity is the respect that you give to other men and what you stand for. We are present as men and yet we are absent. And I'll say this again, as men we are present and yet we are absent. If we can watch today and ask ourselves to say, how many campaigns are we currently leading as men today? Men are called names, men are called trash, and it's not another man that called another man trash. It's a lady that started there to say men are trash, and it trended. Men have become powerless and voiceless because we don't know our rights as men. We don't know what we're standing for as men today. We are present, and yet we are absent. We've got kids. Half of us don't even know what our kids like, but we are with them every day. We've got friends, but we don't care what our friends are going through because we are there, yet we are absent in their lives. We are in relationships. You are in marriages. You are there for your wife every day, yet you know nothing that goes through in her mind, in her heart. Because why? You are powerless and voiceless. We are bruised and broken, and yet we are also voiceless. That's what we have become as men. And as men, we are having it tough. Everybody's expecting something from us. Everybody's expecting us to toughen up. Everybody's expecting us to protect. Yet nobody comes to us and ask us, how are you feeling? Can you do this? Are you able to do this? We are expected to be the stronger ones. Everybody will always tell you to say, tigers don't cry. And I will say to you, yes, tigers don't cry. Because one thing for sure, a tiger is an animal and you're not an animal. You are a human being that can share that tears. That's the reason we've got tear glands. Because when you feel the pain, you show emotions and you break down. As fathers on this call, as men on this call, do we even know what our rights are? Men have lost their rights. Men have lost their stand. And men, only thing that they want is the best. Yet they are out there crying and nobody wants to hear their cry. We are no longer our brother's keepers. When your brother is doing bad, you celebrate your brother's failure. You even go and tell another brother to say, this one is failing. This one marriage is breaking. This one cannot even support his family because we are no longer our brother's keeper. We have divided ourselves as men because we're not the type of men that we want to be. We're not the type of men that stand together and say, forever and ever, I will believe and be my brother's keeper. We will end up being like our fathers, yet we are not them. You want to be what your father was. If your father was a millionaire, you want to go out and become a millionaire. If your father had 5 wives, you want to go out and have 5 wives. If your father was an abuser, you end up trying to be one because of the situation that you saw in your family every day. If your father was a drunkard, you end up becoming one, and your excuse is, I saw my father do it. And yet you forget that you are not your father. As men, we are out there crying and kicking, and nobody seems to care about our tears, our loud voices, and how we are kicking. Because as men, we have lost the spark, and as men, we need to help. We need help from self. What has happened to a lot of guys that used to be protectors and providers? Men that used to hold and hug their kids every day. Men that will give up their lives to make sure that the next person is happy. Men will give up their lives, their families, to make sure that the communities that they grow in is well taken care of. What happened to those type of men? Because today, the men that we are, it's men that are good in using their fists. Men that are good in taking their anger, their bruises in a weaker sex. Hence, we are called trash, because we have become men that are not protecting, but we have become men that are bashing women every day. What has happened to us? Our hands, at this moment, our hands are filled of blood. Our hands are dirty. And this is not blood because you killed someone, but this is the blood that you've killed the society around you. This is the blood because you killed dreams with the drugs that you are selling. This is the blood because you've become a corrupt man, and society around you is breaking down because the money that you're supposed to use to build communities, so communities are breaking down. Our hands are full of blood because souls are crying. Brothers are crying. Families are torn apart because of what we have become as men. We have changed. We are not the men that we've always wanted to be. As the president has always said that we need to wash our hands. And before we get our power back as men, we need to wash our hands from the blood that is on our hands. And when we do that, we go back and regain our power as men and become providers and protectors of our families and our communities. We own up to our mistakes and take responsibility of all the actions that we have done. We walk with pride and wisdom for the generation that is coming after us to take the lead from us, because we want to encourage a generation of better men. And when we encourage a generation of better men, we are changing the status quo, where everybody will say men have become what men have always been. Because I know on this call as men, we can be real models, and can we be reliable? And we are reliable as men in this. We bring back the spark that every man in this room has almost lost. Every man in our community has lost the spark and the wisdom and the pride to walk along with pride and shoulders and say, "Ndiyindoda, I'm proud to be a man." And before I leave you, I've got these questions for you. Are you a man of value? Are you a man that lives on dreams? Are you a man that lives on things, and a man that is living on his word? Are you the man that you always wanted to be when you grow up? When you grew up, you had a picture of a man that you draw and said, this is the type of man that I want to become when I grow up. Are you that man today? And I'm asking you again, are you the man that you wanted to be when you grow up? Are you a man of stature? A man that when they walk into the room, people look at them with pride because of the men that they are, the respect that they get from other men, the legacy, the role model, and the openness that you have as this man, that you can able to stand in front of an audience and raise your hand and say, I am proudly a man. Are you a man that respects self and others? People will always say that respect is earned, yet respect is also given. But are you that man that can respect others, no matter their status, no matter their financial status, no matter their position in the society, but you respect because of the respect that they're giving you? And do you respect self? Are you a man of integrity when you say, I'm not going to do this, and you don't turn around the corner and do exactly what you said you won't do when you are faced with a challenge? Are you the man that the world is looking for? The world is calling out for men to come out and own up. The world is looking for men to come up and own up. The world is looking for men to come up and own up. The world wants men to let go of our childish behaviors. The only way for us to find answers of what happened to us as men is to change the way that we are living. For us to get answers of what happened to us is to open up and have a voice and not be powerless as men. For us to be where we want to be as men is to become our brother's keeper. Don't shine and celebrate when your brother is failing. Don't shine and celebrate when your brother is down on his knees. Lend a hand to your brother because you've always been your brother's keeper. Be a man of stature. Be a man of value with value and values. And the last thing that I want to say to you in closing, the world is waiting for a man. Woman is waiting for a man. Children are waiting for a man. They won't settle for just any man. They are waiting for a loosened man. The world is waiting for you, but it's entirely up to you if you change your ways and become the man that the world is waiting for. To you, Mr. Toastmaster, to the forum gentlemen, my challenge to you today as I get out of this stage is to say, are you the man that you've always wanted to be? Are you the man that has always sat down and said, I'm going to respect people around me? Are you going to be that man that celebrates when your brother is down? Or are you going to be the man that lends a hand and support when your brother is going down? Are you going to be a man that only protects his family and forget about the community that you are living in? Or are you going to be a man that protects and provides for everybody around them? Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the time. And to you, Mr. Toastmaster, thank you very much. I thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, distinguished Toastmaster Tebogo Majokana. I must say some words of wisdom and words of reflection you shared with us this evening, allowing us to think about where we were, where we are, and perhaps as men, where we should be, and how to find that spark once again. And I think the words of wisdom of a real man treats everyone in his life with respect. Thank you for joining our Forum Toastmasters meeting and sharing that message with us here this evening.